Hello and welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. Obviously today is going to be all about autistic related videos, as you know, because obviously this is where I roll right now as an advocating and educating you all based on mental health and autism. I thought to give a break on the grief and loss series, as I mentioned, so that hopefully we can focus solely, hopefully a little bit more on some of the autistic related videos that may come about certain topics or discussions that may arise. So for those of you who don't know me, before I continue on, I'm Aspie Answers. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness, as well as sharing my life story with autism and mental health, taking you all on a journey if and when I'm able, with tips and advice, along with just other variation of videos that you may see me do, regardless what it may be. And if you're into any of these and more, don't forget, if you want to join me on the bandwagon, feel free to smash that subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. So, as you're aware, basically at this point of time, this is a comprehensive guide of a how-to of accepting autism, especially for us autistics, especially in also people in the mental health criteria. Obviously tends to feel down and out maybe after when they come to terms of their diagnosis, and some of us will find it an everyday struggle no matter what. But as I said before in my very first introduction to this 3 methods that I'm sharing with you all today, basically the choice is up to us how we want to go about how we want to live our life and what we want to do with our life. Do we want to just, mope around and just give up, or do we want to just think, okay, I am more than insert your mental health condition or your autism diagnosis or what have you. I can conquer anything. I am more than the words that maybe many people will say about me, as well as also I'm more than the words that they will not going to hurt me any way or another. Maybe just practice some mantras now once in a while, I believe, also in saying this, because I believe in saying that, because after my diagnosis, yeah, sure as hell was a long haul after accepting it and whatnot, but then again, like I said, everyone's different in a way of acceptance and what have you. So another key pointer here, just as a note, as a disclaimer, as always, I'm no medical doctor, I'm just your normal Joe blog. So if you see anything out of the ordinary from your past and present videos I've shared based on some mental health videos and autistic like videos, to seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, or seek second opinion for yourself or your loved one, because I don't condone self-harm. So therefore, as I'm saying here also in saying this, that some of the stuff that I may share is based on my life experiences as well. So some of the stuff that I go through on the daily when I give you advice of any kind works for me, and it may work for you, or vice versa. Some of the things that does work for you may not work for me, and all that jazz as well, just to clarify, so that we can just hopefully learn to accept one another regardless what it may be. So as I said before, basically this is how-to of accepting. So the very first one, as I mentioned, was method 1, which we covered of the topic called Seeing Autism Differently, which obviously in this was learn about autism from autistic people. 2 is reading about the strengths associated with autism. 3, read about successful autistic people. 4, consider your special interests. 5, read about the social model of disability. So this is method 2 of the 3, which is called helping yourself. So number 1 here is remember that it's okay to be different. If everyone were just to look like everyone else, the world would be boring. It would be black and white. It would just basically be no colour, no happiness, no what have you, right? Like we're gonna be the sheep following each other sort of thing. We are born to stand out. We are born to be different. We are born to be who and what we choose to be. Never be afraid of being different, because obviously different can be scary, and all this other feelings and emotions that we feel on this roller coaster when we're trying to accept ourselves for being, or just accepting ourselves in general, regardless what it may be. You see, because obviously I believe in this day and age that, what makes us us is the way of maybe either our diagnosis, be it autism, be it Aspergers Syndrome, be it a form of mental health like anxiety, depression, what have you. But we shouldn't have to let that condition overrule us. We should be able to say, okay, yep, this is cool, I've got this, now what can I do to make myself better? I believe also in saying this just as a form of advice out there to you guys. Just remember also, your quirks are part of what makes you memorable. Your quirks makes who and what you are as a person, and you don't need to censor yourself or try to look normal in the normal realm of everyday life from the neurotypical world, because as I said before, we shouldn't have to mask or hide away our feelings. I believe we are born to stand out, we are born to be a leader, we're born to be an advocate, we're born to be somebody out there for that voice of reason or whatever it may be, when we're brave enough to conquer the world that is really scary for us. It's absolutely okay to be disabled and look disabled in public, so to speak. So number 2 is finding therapies and treatments that works for you. A good therapy will leave you better off than you were before, and you will gain skills to help you become more well adjusted in your everyday life, regardless what it may be, right? So therefore what I'm saying here is basically that some therapies may work for others, some therapies won't, because I think from memory there were just a few therapies I done in my time before I came to this diagnosis. Like I had speech therapy and some other form of therapy just to help me on my way, obviously, because like my parents especially were a bit worried about, you know, my learning versus my movement and stuff, because obviously like for many of us autistics we're known to be sometimes at a young age and maybe older to be a bit clumsy, so our eye-hand coordination can be a bit off balance and everything, so had to do that. And then saying this also, just to bear in mind, as I said before in the intro, that many of the therapies or what have you that you do might work for you and might not work for others, so we need to bear in mind actually to be respectful of others' opinions and whatnot. So when I was saying this though, also we can learn some coping mechanisms, some alternative methods from that form of therapy or treatment we're going through, as well as maybe when saying this, of these alternative methods basically of doing difficult tasks, how to capitalize on our everyday strengths. Some options may include sensory integration therapy, talk therapy, occupational therapy, special diets, and the special diets basically I've mentioned in one of the ones about omitting certain foods in your diet for people with autism, as well as some other conditions that may need to bear in mind. But bear in mind also that as I say this, like always check in with a doctor before altering your diet, because obviously they'll know what's best for you, or attempting any other form of treatment, because you know it might do more damage than good. Hearsay. Another one is behaviour therapy. I've heard on the grapevine from some of the people in the autistic community that they don't believe in this applied behaviour analysis therapy, ABA, which I'm hoping to do more research. Basically, some may see some form of psychologist or therapist for some emotional issues that they're dealing with, because obviously many people might think that people with autism have emotional issues, hearsay, and we don't know what we have to do. But I want to say this, in this behaviour therapy part, we need to be careful obviously, because obviously some therapies are based on compliance and may not be doing more than harm than good. It may hurt people than helping us, if you get me. If your therapist's goal is to make you more normal rather than more comfortable or more competent in yourself, or if you feel upset and anxious about seeing them, feel free to find another therapist, because it's okay to find a second opinion or just finding a second therapist or what have you to actually meet our needs, because you know we need to be comfortable in our own skin, right? It's a given for many of us to, you know, share our thoughts, feelings, what have you, I believe. So don't ever feel ashamed that you have to go to therapist after therapist until you find one that you think will make you comfortable and best fit. Number 3 is stop trying to do things that are too hard. Okay, as we know, it's a given on an everyday basis with the social media, especially, that constantly encourages people to do our best, right? Sometimes people forget that it's okay to quit. It's okay to quit on a given, because obviously sometimes we don't always have to put our 110% effort into it all the time. Because if we do, however, push ourselves to the limits too many times for perfection or whatever we're striving for, this can lead to a real bad burnout. I'm speaking from experience here right now, because obviously I'll admit a few times when I was doing things in high school leading up to Polytech especially, I always thought I had to give my 100% effort, and also in saying within this 100% effort, I always thought I had to do everything right the first time or have it to be perfect all the time for people, and that led me to have a burnout back in the day in my Polytech days. And one of the lecturers at the Polytech figured that I was so tired to the point that they had to take away some of my well, not privileges as such, but some of my core subjects and put me into a part-time study, so to speak, and also finding other ends of meeting up my needs. Just to bear in mind though, if something is draining your energy or adding a lot of stress to your life, right, stop doing this. sometimes saying I quit can be freeing for us, because obviously, as I said, that we need to be able to be free from what we can do, because obviously in this day and age I've noticed that yes, we have to be perfect in the eyes of the media or what have you. Sometimes we feel like we have to be someone we're not, I believe, if that makes sense, like putting a mask on and acting like we're someone that we're not, if that makes sense, a fake kind of identity on ourselves, you could call it. Because obviously at this point in time, like when I first found out about my diagnosis, yes, I'll admit I was one of them, you know, putting a mask on, acting like I'm someone else different, shape-shifting, following everybody's cue about how to act, think, say and do. And then, like, majority of the time I used to sit in a corner, you know, watching as I'm socializing with people, and many people think, you know, I'm being a loner, but that's fine, you know. In saying this though, that I felt a bit more at ease as I was growing up, thinking, okay, this is not how I should be acting. I should be able to be myself, if that makes sense to you guys. In saying this though, disability doesn't just mean that there are some things you can't do. Okay, as I said before, disability, take the word the dis in front of the word disability, is the ability to do things. It can also mean that some things are painful or extremely draining for us. We can give ourselves permission, however, to quit or find an alternative way or method for a problem or a particular task that we're given to do. And hopefully in saying this, that whoever's given us that set given task for that alternative way of thinking or doing, they'll be able to accept it, because there's no such thing as the right way. You can do more than one way. 4. Focus on your skills and characteristics. This will help you spend less energy and mourning about your disability and more energy on doing positive things and enjoying life. You know, living in the moment, hearsay. Spending time on your hobbies and things that you're good at. Enjoy the feeling of competence and expertise that you have on yourself. Make a list of your positive traits. Consider both personality traits and skills. Place this list somewhere where you can see it and easily see it when you're feeling sad or you're doubting about yourself. A classic example, maybe helping other people. Prepare food for the hungry. Raise awareness for important causes that you truly strongly believe in. Or write about your special interests on WikiHow or even on a blog. Effecting a positive change in the world will distract you, help others, and make you feel happier about yourself. 5. Practice self-care. It's a given that many of us may be struggling with this part of practicing self-care, me included. I'm learning now to do more about self-care and learn to say no once in a while, even though many people say, despite my social anxiety, I say no a lot. But hopefully in saying those people will understand me as a person, you know, that I don't mean to push you guys away when it comes down to it. Some things can be a bit overwhelming and stressful at the same time for me, or mixed other emotions and feelings I feel. And in saying this, that hopefully I can socialize again with you guys after I just go about trying to recharge my batteries. As we know, basically, with having a form of condition or disability, it can be difficult. It's important for us to treat ourselves well. We need to cut out any energy that drains us from our life so we can focus on what matters most to us. Pushing ourselves to meet into the non-autistic standards and expectations will only take a toll on our health. It's okay to ask for academic accommodations, hopefully, take extra breaks, or quit doing things that are too stressful to achieve. Paying extra attention to general health advice, such as, you know, sleeping for your 8 hours, as well as eating fruit and vegetables and eating at the right time, exercising, meditation, limiting the junk food, minimizing the stress that causes the stress in the first place. Exercise regularly. Taking walks does count, even though many people might argue that with me. Self-care is extremely important for us to mitigate the stress and help reduce any meltdowns and shutdowns, or any form of meltdowns for that matter that comes our way. If we have trouble with self-care, it's okay to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help, because obviously, as I said before, basically, no matter who it is, doctors, psychiatrists, or whoever, are there to help us to meet up. And they shouldn't be reinforcing what's not good for us, if that makes sense. Assisted living, a group home, or living with family might be better for you. I'm not saying it will, it might. Also, in saying this, talk with your doctor, or social worker, or someone if you are definitely struggling. There's no shame in meeting your needs, and it will free up the things that you love to do. Look for people in your life whose judgment you can trust. It can be your parent, your sisters or brothers, it can be your teachers, it can be anybody for that matter. Living in the neurotypical world can be so confusing, as I said before, so it's useful to have people to ask for advice. You can ask questions such as, is this outfit good for an award ceremony? 2, this person makes me feel awful, what do I do? 7, stop apologising for being autistic. This is a given for many of us autistics, I believe, because obviously many of us will tend to apologise for being autistic. Why should we be apologising to be autistic? We should be able to be ourselves, you know, I believe, because obviously I'm saying this, we have the right for accommodation needs just as well as stimming in public. Never be afraid of stimming in public for hearsay, guys, because obviously, as I said before, you know, stimming is a release for many of us autistics. So therefore, I've done a few stimming series and other series, which I'll link in the description, I cut above me, so that you can follow through. Do what you need to do in order to function on your daily routine and everyday tasks, because obviously if it has to be some form of stimming to release that negative energy in us, you know, it's fine. You know, many people think I move too much, especially maybe, as you can see while I'm talking to you guys in front of you. You know, this is just a form of what I do as a form of a stim. So therefore, I'm trying to tone it down if I have to, but why should I be suppressing my stimming and everything else that I go through on a daily, you know? But hey, toning down your behaviour is your choice, not something to be pushed or coerced out of you. Obviously, don't let forever someone tell you how to act, think or say or do. If you feel to stim by all means, you know, if you're brave enough to do so. You aren't required to act more neurotypical than others just because everyone else is used to. Try to stop masking when you can. This is a given for me, as I said before, and one of the tweets that I was following, I think from Neurodivergent Rebel, I think. Masking can basically link to mental health risks, you know, and I believe at this point of time I am doing my darn hardest to do so. And in saying this also, when I've been trying to do this, that it has been a given that, yeah, okay, I may have lost a few friends along the way, maybe. Well, if you call them friends, you know, because as I said before, I had an everyday struggle as I was growing into my primary intermediate stage of my life when I was in my schooling, that it was hard to make friends, and many autistics do feel that, as well as many other people maybe with special needs find it hard to make friends, you know. Yeah, it was a lonely time for me because obviously I was a victim of bullying, and then I thought at one point, you know, while I was sitting there minding my own business, while I was being bullied by these people, I thought enough is enough, I want to make a stand. As I said before, it's important if we can to try and be ourselves as much as we can, but you know, each to their own. 8. Recognise that autism isn't just one piece of who you are, a kind, thoughtful and lovable human being. People can love you in your autism if you let them in. Even though I have learned that basically after the diagnosis when I was 16, 17, basically I found it hard to actually let people in. It's like I was coming back to that stage after being abused for like 8 years of my relationship, that, you know, do I want to share about my life story of my abusive relationship versus my, you know, diagnosis with mental health versus autism or Aspergers Syndrome. I've got to keep correcting myself here, sorry guys about this, and I just thought, heck with it, I'll do it. And people might love me, people might hate me, but that's just the way it is. You can love yourself in your autism. You're not a lesser person, so don't think less about yourself as an autistic. Last but not least, just talk to someone if you're overwhelmed by self-hatred. It's a given that many of us will come to the point that, you know, we'll have some anxiety, depression and self-esteem issues, as well as maybe basically, even though it's unfortunately common, basically some self-hatred versus hatred on maybe social media. It goes for anybody having, you know, people bullying us in a form of being the what they call it, trolls on the internet. Anyway, my advice here is identify someone you trust and explain to them how awful you may feel. If you think you may have anxiety and or depression, try to schedule for a doctor's appointment so you can discuss further with them so they can actually help you with something. They might be able to help you by giving you a screening of some sort, and perhaps maybe some helpful medicine if it might help for you. You aren't being selfish or burdensome by sharing negative feelings, however. Don't forever think that, okay, I don't want to bother anyone. some people may have felt the same way as you. You know, and they could be easy enough to, if you find them easy enough to trust, to actually give you some form of advice and a shoulder to lean on or what have you. You know, some people may be able to tell from a distance that you may feel awful if they know you well enough. And they may not know how to help in some situations. Some may do, some may not. But then if you tell them how you're really feeling, this will be helpful to them, because then they can know what to do for you and then worry less about you. Anyway, this ends this video of accepting autism method 2. Hope you like this. Most like if you did. Comment below of anything that I may have thing, or give some form of advice of what you would do in these methods that I'm sharing, or steps of these methods, so that hopefully we can get the ball rolling. You know, what would you say to someone about this, especially maybe on the part about being apologetic, stop being apologetic, versus also wearing the mask, or should we still continue to wear that mask and whatnot? And all for the guys, thanks for the support, thanks for watching, do what I love what you do. Until next time, I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now. Saying this, don't forget that I have got a merch store that I'm trying to hopefully add a bit more, the Patreon account. For those of you who are new today, Patreon is like a subsidy account for us creators, be it music creators, content creators that are doing mental health or water form. It is that they're using as a form of the platform on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever else they may likely to fly about. Basically a bit about giving back to you guys when you do support. So if you feel to donate to me, big or small, no pressure basically, but it'd be much appreciated if you did. But hey, this will cover my cost of my rent, the travel when I do some more traveling with Aspie series, or just traveling in general, as well as maybe better recording equipment, so to speak, with the camera setup and whatnot, so that I'm not solely relying on my phone, and many other parts that were thing. And in saying this, with the Patreon account, basically you'll see that I've been trying to do some benefits and ties for you to give back to you as a thank you for, you know, journeying with me, even though some of it will be maybe for free, some of it, you know, maybe need out of my pocket to send you guys certain stuff, be it if it may be, if you do donate to a certain amount, merch of your choice, versus basically maybe if I can afford to print out a copy of my book that I did 3 years ago, if you're interested in reading my life story more there. And I'm saying this also just to let you guys know lowdown that I've got some projects in the works that I'm still hoping that if anyone wants to participate for project number 1 of the Journey Through the Mind series that you may have seen, Lydia, who was the first participant from Life with Lydia, basically sharing her life story. So I'm hoping to do short blurts of documentary style stories basically based on this. And in saying this, basically if you want to be on the bandwagon in any way for that, feel free to comment below. As well as saying this, the second project of it was supposed to be an icebreaker for you guys, just to answer a series of questions. And if you do decide to come back for the second part of that Journey Through the Mind series to be a more depth storyline, please feel free, because I'm hoping later today, if all goes to plan, and I'm hoping to maybe get someone on the side to maybe animate them or what have you. And I'm saying this also, if you've seen some of my other videos, be it through my, you know, poetry, my baking with Aspie and everything else, please let me know what you would see more of, because at this point of time it's all about giving back to you guys regardless. But I know I should be focusing solely on mental health and awareness and acceptance and inclusion as an advocate, but I would like to try and bring in some mixture of things so I don't, you know, bore you guys, so that you can just, instead of getting to know me, maybe getting to know others that were interested in coming into play. And then there's also just a heads up, basically I was hoping in the works later today to do a second part of my book that I did based on my life of an Aspie, looking through the life of Aspergers Syndrome or something along those. I'll link the link in the description below based on that as well, so that if any one of you that are maybe autistic and are from the autistic community groups and you are interested in participating, let me know, so that maybe we can get the ball rolling and get the short stories done and up as well as a third part of my book series, because I'm still thinking that there are certain topics I may have not touched base on from the first part of my book of the Journey Through Life with Aspergers Syndrome of mine. And to wrap it up, basically I have some other funding pages, like basically GoFunding or some other funding page that I've got, that if you're interested in maybe doing it through there instead of through basically Patreon. But as you know, Patreon and this other one, you have the option of PayPal and just insert bank account details and whatnot. I'm also saying this also, I'm trying to keep my blog up to date so I can create it as a website hopefully as of before next year, because that's my main goal. I'm still looking for someone who is willing to actually maybe help me design it from WordPress to actually put this web address in and stuff and tidy it up so that we can actually put other bits and pieces in that you may want to see on there, so to speak, if you've seen it, sort of thing. You know, hopefully you're enjoying some of the read-ups of what I write, even though it's similar to what I share with you guys of certain videos I might have put out, sort of thing. So it's easier for you guys when you come onto my WordPress site, that if you're a visual person instead of like a reader person, some of it is similar, but it should hopefully have some bits and pieces. And also in saying this, I'm at this point of time being away for a few times too because of the subtitling I'm doing. I hopefully you enjoyed this video, and do what you love what you do. Until next time, I'll see you again soon. Ciao for now.